What do you do when the person you love most shatters your world with a laugh? I stood frozen in our living room, the air thick with the scent of her perfume and betrayal, as my wife, Elise, leaned back in the arms of another man. The scene was a gut punch, a tableau of deceit I'd stumbled into after coming home early from a business trip. Her laughter, sharp and unapologetic, cut through the silence. "You ruined the illusion," she said, her eyes glinting with something I couldn't name, defiance, perhaps, or amusement. But I wasn't the fool she thought. I had plans. For 12 years, Elise and I had built a life together. We met in college, two dreamers in a sea of ambition. She was a painter, her canvases bursting with color and chaos, while I was the pragmatic one, a financial analyst who found comfort in numbers. Our differences were our strength, or so I thought. We'd weathered storms, her gallery rejections, my late nights at the firm, the miscarriage that left us both hollow. But we always came back to each other, or at least I believed we did. That night, standing in our apartment, I realized the life I cherished was a house of cards, and Elise had just flicked the first one down. The man with her was no stranger. Julian, her art dealer, had been a fixture in our lives for years. I'd never liked his smug grin or the way he lingered too long in her studio, but I trusted Elise. Trust's a fragile thing, isn't it? I'd come home early to surprise her, a bouquet of her favorite peonies in hand, only to find them tangled on the couch, her laughter echoing as she saw me. Julian scrambled to his feet, mumbling apologies, but Elise just sat there, unruffled, her red lipstick smeared like a taunt. "You weren't supposed to be here, Daniel," she said. "You ruined the illusion." The words stung, not just for their cruelty but for the truth they hinted at. Our marriage, our love, it was all a performance, and I'd missed my cue. I didn't scream or throw the flowers. Instead, I walked out, the peonies dropping to the floor like shed petals of my pride. In the days that followed, I was a ghost in my own life. I stayed at a cheap motel, the kind with flickering neon signs and stained carpets, replaying her words. The illusion. What did that even mean? Had she been playing a role all these years, or was I the one blind to the script? I could have confronted her, demanded answers, but rage wasn't my way. I needed clarity, control. I needed a plan. That's when I found the letter. It was tucked in an old coat pocket, one I hadn't worn since last winter. The paper was worn, the ink smudged, but the words were unmistakable, written in Elise's looping script. It wasn't addressed to me. It was to someone named Clara, dated 6 months ago. "I'm drowning, Clara," it began. "The gallery's failing, Julian's pressuring me, and Daniel, he's so good, so steady, but I'm suffocating in his world. I don't know how to tell him I'm not the woman he loves." My heart stopped. Clara. The name rang a bell, faint but persistent. Clara was Elise's old friend from art school, the one who'd moved to Paris years ago. Why hadn't she sent this? And why was it so raw, so unlike the Elise I knew? This was the twist I didn't see coming. Clara. I tracked her down, a quick search on X revealing she was back in the city for a gallery opening. I reached out, not sure what I'd say, but driven by a need to understand. We met at a quiet cafe, her face older but still kind, her eyes searching mine for answers I didn't have. Elise never sent that letter, Clara told me, her voice soft but heavy. She wrote to me often, but stopped last year. She said she was losing herself, Daniel. The art world, the pressure, broke her. Julian wasn't just her dealer, he was her escape, her rebellion against a life she felt trapped in. Clara's words were a knife, twisting deeper. Elise wasn't just cheating, she was unraveling, and I'd been too busy with balance sheets to notice. But Clara wasn't done. She slid a small sketchbook across the table, one of Elise's, filled with drawings I'd never seen. They weren't her usual vibrant abstracts but dark, jagged sketches of a woman trapped in a cage, her face blurred but achingly familiar. "She gave this to me before I left for Paris," Clara said. "She wanted you to have it, but she was too afraid to show you." I spent that night poring over the sketchbook, each page a confession Elise couldn't voice. The woman I loved wasn't a villain, she was a prisoner of her own making, caught between who she was and who she thought I needed her to be. But her betrayal wasn't excused. She'd chosen Julian, chosen to laugh instead of fight for us. And yet, I couldn't hate her. I pitied her, and that was worse. My plan took shape not from anger but from clarity. I didn't want revenge, I wanted freedom for both of us. I returned home the next day, the apartment quiet, Elise's easel empty. She was there, waiting, her eyes red from crying. "I thought you'd left for good," she whispered. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I placed the sketchbook on the table. Her face crumpled as she recognized it. "You saw," she said, not a question but a surrender. "I saw you," I replied. "The real you. And I'm done pretending I didn't." I told her my plan. I'd sell my stake in the firm, use the money to fund her dream, a small gallery of her own, no Julian, no pressure, just her art. In return, I wanted a divorce. Not out of spite, but because I couldn't live in her illusion anymore, and she shouldn't have to live in mine. She cried, begged me to stay, but I saw it in her eyes, she knew I was right. The illusion was broken, and neither of us could rebuild it. The papers were signed a month later. I moved to a new city, started a consultancy, found peace in the quiet of my own choices. Elise opened her gallery, and from what I heard on X, it's thriving. Clara sends me updates sometimes, little glimpses of a woman finding her way back to herself. I don't regret my plan. It wasn't about winning or losing, it was about truth. We were both trapped, but I set us free. Love is a gamble, a leap into the unknown. Sometimes, it's a house of cards, fragile and fleeting. But even when it falls, you can choose how to pick up the pieces. I chose to walk away, not with anger, but with hope for her, for me, for a life unburdened by illusions. And in that choice, I found something stronger than love, myself.